you'd have to say that Kilkenny are going to win. If Henry or John don't last the full 70 minutes, it gives Tipperary an opening. But what I'm worried about is that Kilkenny seem to have a cause as a result of not being given the credit that they felt they were entitled to 12 months ago, and they're bad enough without a cause.
Okay, thanks very much, lads. And as we know, Brian Cody, when he does take risks, they do tend to come off.
Once again, Richie Power advancing. Is the third goal coming? It is. Debut then, Richie Power gets his first ever goal in the championship.
I joined the panel in 2005. We were beaten in an All-Ireland semi-final in 2005, and since then I've been lucky enough not to taste championship defeat. Coming into such a successful team has been an incredible experience. At the beginning, you're coming into a team that had the likes of DJ Carey there. I was lucky enough to play with DJ.
DJ steadying himself, turning it in beautifully and putting it over the bar.
It's been an incredible journey, but every day, every night you go out on the training pitch, it's everyone is there to fight for their place on the panel, let alone on the team. So it's great, but you're always looking over your shoulder.
So almost set for the 115th Leinster GAA hurling final, the first ever between Kilkenny and Galway.
We knew going in that this Galway team were a very good side. They bet us in the league down in Nolan Park without their poor Tumblr players that day, and we knew with those guys coming back in that they were going to be a formidable force. But we prepared very well for that game, and you know, we've been Leinster champions the last 5 years, last 6 years, and we weren't going to give up our title without a fight.
Cleared by Michael Rice, picked up here by Richie Power, swinging it, having a go and putting it over the bar.
You know, we got through that day, and we were where we wanted to be, which was an All-Ireland semi-final, and you know, we kind of set out at the beginning of the year to say that what we planned, we'd 4 games this year, and we thankfully had 2 of those over, so we were delighted with that success.
Tommy Walsh has the ball. Kilkenny have the trophy. They are the first team to do 4 in a row since the 1940s.
You know, there was a few guys that would be disappointed with the performance, and we look back on statistics, and some of the statistics didn't make for good reading, and you know, we're hoping to put that right this year. But again, like, we know what we're coming up against, and we know if we're not at the top of our game that there's only going to be one winner, and it's not going to be us. If we happen to win the 5 in a row, it'll go down in history, and it'll be great to be part of that. You know, anyone would love to be part of that, and like, I'm no different, and hopefully, you know, if all goes well, we'll be celebrating on the first Sunday in September, and so that's what I'm looking forward to.
It is, of course, that's Richie Power, and it's, you know, Richie has made his place in that Kilkenny team over the last couple of years, and as John Allen was making there, when you look down the list of subs, I know we're repeating ourselves here, but the quality in the subs there to win your place on that Kilkenny team is an achievement in itself.
Well, sure, it's frightening when you look down and you see who's there. When you see Michael Rice in line for the hurler of the year last year, Martin coming for the won the All-Ireland, you could say, from them last year. Richie Hogan, the best underage player we saw.
Michael
maybe the last 4 or 5 years.
As many All-Ireland medals as Christy Ring.
Derek Lane. There's a litany of them, and Owen Guinan and another brilliant up-and-coming player. But even it took Richie Power a while to establish himself on the team. Every player in Kilkenny must serve an apprenticeship. You know, that is the thing. But Richie is a supreme artist. You know, his ability to win ball in the air, not alone win it, but strike it all in one movement. You know, even a man on him, he can catch it and he's a stroke before the man can hook him. And he has also this other great ability of getting away from the man and creating that little space, as he showed in many of the goals, especially the last day, in the goal he scored the last day. So he's just...
And of course he comes from good stock to us.
He comes from great stock, you know, and the tradition that's there is just incredible. But like, even in the interview there yourself, you could see they're trying to turn last year on its head as well, right? Saying they didn't get credit for beating Tipperary last year because of the referee and the decisions, and they're using that to pump themselves, you know, and they're using it to say, look, let's go out here now, lads, and let's show them that we really mean business, and last year was no fluke, you know, that we are the best team in the country. And I mean, that's a huge motivation factor. No complacency within the setup then at that stage, you know. So, I mean, they're masters at that. And Richie, I mean, he has taken up the mantle. If something goes wrong today with Henry, free taking particularly, right, there's going to be a big pressure put on him, because we've seen what Shefflin's been able to do from 65 yards and back for free taking and stuff like that. If something does happen to Henry, he's going to have to take over that mantle, and that is a huge pressure on Richie Power.
OK, time for us to get the thoughts of the rival managers ahead of this year's final. In a little while, we'll be talking to Brian Cody. But first, we're going to hear from the Tip manager, Liam Sheedy. Well, he has definitely put Tip right into the foreground of hurling's top contenders over the past 3 years. But last year's All-Ireland final defeat was clearly a huge disappointment. And today, then, offers the chance of redemption.
It's a great occasion, you know, going out to play in an Ireland final for the lads. Obviously, it was our first final in a while, and you're really just trying to make sure that the lads, they have the same routine that they've had right throughout the championship.
What a very good save by Brendan Commons. Goal shot!
Brilliant save.
What a save. And it's a penalty. They need it. It's in the back of the net. In for Kilkenny. 2 in a row.
We found PJ Ryan in exceptional form, and, you know, as I said, maybe if we had to get 1 or 2 of those goals, you know, it might have given us a little bit of breathing space. But, you know, full credit to them, I guess, you know. Every man has to play his part, and you'd have to say that PJ was very, very good in the final. They are an exceptional team, but, you know, we're delighted to get the chance. I mean, after getting to the final last year, we were anxious to get back up there again, and thankfully we're there. For us, really, it was about, you know, after the game, you know, what can we learn from it? You know, what areas did we do really, really well in, and what areas can we improve on? And, you know, in fairness to the lads, that's all the time we're trying to obviously better our performance and get up a level again. And, you know, that's the challenge for us now again this year. People that sometimes forget and underestimate, you know, how difficult it is for teams to win championship games down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It was always going to be a very, very difficult assignment, and, you know, maybe, you know, we just weren't up for the battle on that day on the 30th of May, and, you know, when the results are going well, you get all the tactics right, and when you lose a match, you know, you just don't get the tactics at all. So, you know, we were really, really disappointed, you know, as a management team, as a backroom team, as a unit, you know, the performance that we give our county down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. But, you know, I think, you know, you can look at it in 2 ways. We were delighted to have a second opportunity. This is still a very young team that's in, you know, that's definitely, you know, moving in the right direction. You know, I mean, you take our half-forward line the last day, you've got, you know, a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old. You know, so, I mean, people sometimes forget that this is a team that are in development. Probably a little bit more battle-hardened on the back of 2 great victories against Galway and Waterford this year, and you know, maybe the route that we took hasn't been a bad thing. And, you know, as I said, we're going in there and we want to bring our performance out onto the pitch again. And if you do, you know, we're under no illusions that we're playing the best team in the country, and probably the best team in the history of the game. But, you know, that's the challenge, and every sports person loves a challenge, and we're no different, and that's why we're delighted to get the opportunity. For a lot of people, I guess it's a big match in Ireland final, but for us, it's you know, we do the same routine coming up to this match as we've done for every other match, and you know, as I said, having the boys relaxed and getting them ready to go out and give their all for the jersey, and I'd be absolutely 100% confident they'd do that. If someone had to tell me on the morning of the 31st of May that Tipperary would be back in the Ireland final, I'd say I'd take my chance.
For 2009, Brian Cody's already got 6 All-Ireland victories, 10 Leinsters, 5 National Leagues and 11 seasons. Surely the most successful manager there has ever been.
When I started out as Kilkenny manager, my big ambition was just to build a spirit in the whole team and to get a great unity within the whole hurling setup in Kilkenny, I suppose. Obviously, the ambition long-term is to win All-Ireland finals, but, you know, you have to get everything in place first before you can try and do that, I think. And, you know, we try to get good structures there and get the essentials in place. I think the key to it in lots of ways is, you know, you can talk about development squads and you can talk about all these kind of elite kind of structures, but to me it goes way beyond that. You know, what's much more important is, you know, first of all, the families. I mean, there's a huge passion for hurling in the county, and, you know, almost inevitably they're born into, if not a hurling family, the fellow up the road, the fellow down the street, or the fellow very, very close to them, and the school they go to probably, they'll be touched by hurling as well. Your dream, your ambition, I suppose, is to try and get to the first Sunday in September, try to be in Croke Park, out on the pitch, and then you've got to get out and play and perform and see where that brings you. But, you know, at the start of every year, if you thought you could get there, you'd be very, very happy. This year, as it turned out, we beat Dublin in the first round, and, you know, we beat them fairly well in the end, and definitely Dublin didn't play to the same level, I suppose, as they were capable of playing on the day. And that set up a Leinster final clash with Galway. You know, at half-time, the general opinion again was that Galway had a seriously good chance of winning the game, but our second half performance was strong.
Corner of the net.
We threw over some great scores, I suppose, you know, and we almost closed out the game to an extent, and, you know, we had a good win there, definitely.
They are some team, and, you know, how are they going to be stopped now from the 5-0?
It doesn't worry me, it just amazes me that people think like that, you know, and it's silly because we're playing Tipperary the next day. It could have been Waterford on that day, but we're playing Tipperary the next day. They said probably the same thing last year at different occasions, and suddenly we're probably thinking with 10 minutes to go on the All-Ireland final, they're going to give the cup to Tipperary.